Hello, everyone, and welcome back in to Crypto's News. It's me, Omar Bam, aka Crypto, here with you guys to catch us all up on what are the trending topics, what is going on in crypto today. It is September 5th, 2025. And it should be a nice, short, sweet video. It's been, even though I didn't get to do a video last week, it's been a lot of volatility. I should also, which we expected, right? I had mentioned that we should be expecting that kind of volatility. We were seeing huge moves in Ethereum, and with such huge moves up, it was very likely we were going to have huge moves down and so on. And that's pretty much the game, is just been volatility that's been tightening, as you're going to see in a moment. So we're going to get into that and some of the trending stuff. Hey, good evening. Hey, good to see you, Kevin, Josh. Nice to have you guys make it out today. You guys are OGs too. You've been here for quite a few years. So thank you. I appreciate your support, guys. And everyone else who's tuning in. Remember to hit that like button if you want to help the channel out. It goes a long way, believe it or not, in getting these videos out there and recommended. The YouTube algorithm has not been friendly to folks. Unless you're frequently watching my videos, you're probably not being suggested them outside of the subscription tab on the top left. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. Just double check that you're subscribed. I've had situations where people get unsubscribed in the past. But you guys who are making it out, dream catchers, you guys clearly are getting the heads up, so this is probably not relevant to you. But everyone else, if you want to be part of these live streams on Fridays, definitely double check that you got the notifications enabled and that you're checking in on the channel. So let's go ahead and get started here. And I should give a brief disclaimer. As you could probably notice right now, the camera is being quite funky. I bought cable to fix it, and I bought the wrong cable. So I have to return it and get a new one, and we'll get the camera issues resolved. But regardless, you'll be able to see the browser that I'm going to be pulling up here, so that should be fine. All right, so we have today Bitcoin at $110,652. It is pretty much flat over the last 24 hours, up 2.7% over the last 7 days. Still continuing to go up slowly but surely. We also have Ethereum down 0.7%, pretty much flat as well, down 0.4% on the week at $4,303.93. Nothing crazy and notable in the main coins here. As far as market caps overall, we're just south of 4 trillion. We're at 3.902 trillion dollars, down 0.5% over the last day. Bitcoin dominance 56.5%, Ethereum dominance 13.3%. And it was just a little while ago, like I keep mentioning, that we had seen Ethereum dominance below even 10.9%. So it has come up quite a bit. As far as the Ethereum price, zooming in just a little bit closer, over the last 24 hours, we had quite the whipsaw volatility. We started off, I guess, at the lows of the 24 hours around $4,297, which is exactly where we're at right now, funny enough. And then we actually had a spike all the way up to $4,467.50 for all the long boys. They were like, yeah, this is it. And then down it went, down to Goblin Town, actually dropping below the lows. And now we're picking it back up again. So yeah, crazy volatility on the day. Zooming out on the month, I think we have a clear picture as to what's going on here. We can see that this volatility, the ups and downs, are just getting tighter and tighter, something that tends to come right before a major move. So I fully expect one to be coming up as we move into Fed season, let's call it, in just a couple of weeks, where the Fed is going to be announcing the rate hikes. I believe that date is September 17th, and rate hikes, or rate drops rather, I should be saying. And the reason we had the volatility over the last 24 hours with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and many other names, Ripple, Solana, following similar trajectories, was due to the labor report that we got. So we were expecting 75,000 jobs to be created based on their fudgy numbers, but we actually only got, 26,000 jobs. So about a third of the amount that was expected in jobs. So we have to keep in mind that the Federal Reserve, right, what they supposedly look at is, when determining their interest rates, which affect everything, right? For what we pay for our homes, our mortgages, for our cars, to open up a new business, to take out a loan, to have some extra spending capital to invest in crypto or whatever it may be. They base that on two things. Primarily, it's been based on inflation and based on labor. So we are seeing less jobs being created. In fact, I'm hearing, and we'll look at it in a minute, I believe I pulled it up here, we're seeing that there are actually more people filing for unemployment than jobs being created for the first time since 2020. So maybe this like post-COVID bumps in stimulus that we have gotten is finally really dying away. In other news, we actually have a weird situation. I think this has only happened one time in history where we are seeing that when it comes to homes, it is cheaper to buy a new home, a newly constructed home, than it is to buy a used home, something that's not looking really great for the housing market. So market's looking like on the verge of real bubble territory above all, except for, I think, crypto. Crypto's going to weather a lot of the storms and going to be there to protect us through a lot of what's going on. Maybe even, in my opinion, a better investment than a home. Who knows? I guess it's all timing, right? But just really strange things going on in the economy. We talked about in the last video that I did that the Federal Reserve was basically just going to forget about inflation targets of 2% or 3% or whatever it is and let that be more variable, right, as an excuse to drop interest rates. And they're also using the excuse of labor, the fact that there's so much unemployment, jobs not being created to these huge levels. And this is what drove the volatility today, was pretty much a lock that we're going to get these rate cuts come September 17th. And possibly even more, as we'll see coming afterward. So yeah, all over the last month, tightening bands here on Ethereum. Over the last year, you can see that we're still on a trajectory. So we might just be slowing down here with Ethereum. And I think that kind of also shows for the rest of the market. Maybe not Bitcoin, but when it comes to altcoins, they tend to kind of follow Ethereum. If you see Ethereum move up a lot, you're going to see that happen with other altcoins. So we'll see what happens. To me, this is pointing up. Anything can happen. Maybe because we get this rate drop that's expected, we actually sell off on a sell the news event before we actually see the true impact of rates finally coming down again in positive price action. So anyway, we're down still in Ethereum 12.9% from our all-time high of $4,964.05 as illustrated here on CoinGecko.com. So it's only been 12 days since that all-time high for Ethereum was hit. It both feels like it's been longer and shorter than that. But anyway, only 12.9% off of the high is still pretty much near high territories, and we could be getting ready to test those. Always trade safely, not financial advice. It could go up, could go down. I'm a big believer in investing in things and not gambling and trading and speculating on things. Anyway, yeah, that's what went on today. Like we talked about, pretty much a lock for this 25 basis point drop in September being talked about here on CoinDesk. We can look at the FedWatch tool, the CME FedWatch tool, to get an idea of what's going on with these predictions for the Fed drops based on traders' ideas of what could be coming, and their suspicions are that we are going to, in fact, get a 25 basis point drop in September this month. So 92% lock right now. 8% chance that we don't lower rates. And I'm not really seeing any chance of a hike. 0% chance, 100% chance of an ease. So that's pretty much locked in. Then heading into October, so the month after meeting, another rate drop expected. Another 25 basis point rate drop that could be expected. And I'm sorry, I said before that it was an 8% chance that we don't drop in this month. It's actually an 8% chance that we drop 50 basis points, so double the amount that is pretty much a lock. And then that's going to be pretty much certain by October that we're going to be, according to these predictions, this is liable to change based on what the Fed comes out to manipulate markets with, but and who they present in front of folks. But pretty much 72.6% chance that we will see a 50 basis point drop between now and the end of October 29th. And then by December, we could drop even more, 67.9% chance that between now and then, the December 10th meeting, we've dropped 75 basis points. So almost a full percentage point. So just a lot of easing to be coming up. And I think that's a reason to be interested in some of these riskier things like cryptocurrencies. At least that's how the market looks at it, not how I look at it personally. And we're also hearing from other analysts, according to Cointelegraph. So Bank of America previously had held for a long time that we were not going to be seeing any interest rate cuts at all this year. Now they're predicting 2 25 basis point cuts, one in September, another in December, according to Bloomberg. And Goldman Sachs is indeed projecting 3 25 basis point cuts in 2025, beginning in September, continuing in October and November. So we're likely to see that kind of easing take place for sure. And Citigroup, likewise, 75 basis point cuts. So more and more we're hearing about this. So actually dropping even quicker than I had even expected. I was personally expecting probably 2 basis point cuts by the end of the year. And that seems likely for me. But again, everything is subject to change. Yeah. Anyway, what did I have here? People are still wondering what is going on. Why is Ethereum not spiking to new all-time highs just constantly, right? Because we have these new Ethereum reserve strategy companies that are out that. Namely, we have Bitmine Immersion from Tom Lee that's trying to get 5% of the ETH supply we've been talking about. And we have also SharpLink, led by Joseph Lubin, that's also having a similar reserve strategy. If they're buying so much ETH out there, then how come the price is not moving? So that's what's being discussed in this section here on the Ethereum subreddit. So did you know that Bitmine bought 167,000 worth or $700 million worth of ETH just in the past 24 hours? Be bold, like Tom Lee says, Rendoxive. Then no control. How does this not move the price more? Still so many sellers left. And I think we can get an idea from when Moondance Kid had to respond to that with. So the Twitter account Look On Chain posted this last night. An ETH ICO participant. So when Ethereum came out, it was initially an initial coin offering. So you could put up some Bitcoin and get minted some hot ETH, right? That's just how it was issued in the beginning. An ETH ICO participant who received 1 million ETH just woke up after 8 years of dormancy. He moved 150,000 ETH or $645 million to a new wallet for staking. He invested $310,000 in the ICO via 3 wallets. Whoa. And what a bet, right? And received 1 million ETH, now worth $4.3 billion. After staking 150,000 ETH, he still holds 105,000 ETH or $451.5 million across 2 wallets. So a mega whale here. And one of quite a few that exist in the Ethereum ecosystem, like in many of these ecosystems, right? Like I've been baffled by the fact that DATs and ETFs are slurping up ETH at an insane rate, yet the price hasn't moved in a way that reflects that. Obviously, we've had a great run over the last 4 months, but I've stalled over the last month, more like the last 12 days. But with the amount of buying that's been publicly announced, you'd think we'd be even higher, but the fact that there exist people and entities like the ones above may explain it. Mind-boggling that someone had 1 million ETH sitting somewhere untouched for 8 years, and judging by the post above, decided to sell 750,000 of it now. But here we are. Can only assume that there are other long-time holders similarly situated that are de-risking, and that's where the supply is coming from. The definition of distribution. It's frustrating in the short term, but the good news is that ETH is now in stronger hands, diamond hands, and that supply is going to run out at some point because demand is not slacking off. Patience lads, I'm sorry. And it does lead also, I believe. But patience lads and lasses. So yes, definitely a lot of big time holders taking advantage of this, selling likely over the counter to some of these major whales in private meetings that they have with them. And it's not really affecting so much the spot market. But ultimately, I think that demand will begin to show there and has been showing in some ways. Anyway, I thought this was interesting news. Brazil's largest asset manager, Itaú Asset, forms a dedicated crypto unit. So Brazil trying to come up and up here when it comes to crypto adoption. So it's led by appointed former Hashdex executive João Marco Braga da Cunha, who's leading this new unit at this financial institution that manages over 1 trillion reais or $185 billion in assets for their bank's clients. The crypto asset segment, he said, has unique characteristics for generating alpha. It's a relatively new market that creates major opportunities due to its volatility. So yes, volatility is always demanded here, and that's why it always tends to come back, especially with how nascent the market still is these days. We're just having these major banks and institutions finally trying to create some products. In this case, they're going to be creating products like fixed income style instruments, higher volatility strategies such as derivatives, staking based funds, and they also had helped create one of the first crypto ETFs that is available in the country. And I thought it's of note also that Brazil here showed up in Chainalysis 2024 Global Crypto Adoption Index as one of the top 10 nations here. So number one, you have India. At the bottom, you have Brazil at the number 10 spot. In the middle, you have all sorts of countries. United States sitting at number 4. Russia kind of surprises me that it's here because I thought they were quite against crypto, but they're at the number 7 spot. Again, this is late 2024. So this could have changed by now. Maybe Brazil is actually higher. And what this looked at, this index was weighing different things. For example, DeFi usage, value that's being transferred, and so on. So yeah, I think that is interesting that Brazil is kind of moving up right now. Another one that might be moving up is South Korea. So they link in this article here on Cointelegraph to a video on YouTube where you have a lawmaker introducing legislation. I tried to watch it with Google Translate, translating from Korean to English, but it doesn't seem to be very effective. It just stalls out every once in a while, but I did my best. But it does indeed look like it is legitimate what's being posted here. And Cointelegraph, I tend to trust above many other sources. So anyway, they're releasing a draft. What it is to really review cryptocurrency's role, digital assets in the economic landscape over in Korea. And this talks about how they're going to be legalizing initial coin offerings. So back to ICOs. Would love to see them be here back in the United States. Korea might be getting them first after they banned ICOs back in 2017 after a speculative frenzy. Yeah, a lot of these projects did lose folks money. I think that still should be up to the individual, whether they want to put their capital and maybe learn from losses, where they allocate that in the future. But anyway, the government just decided to ban it like they pretty much did here across the board in the United States for average folks. Unless you're an accredited investor who is even aware of these pre-seed rounds, you're not going to be able to get in on the ground floor like you were able to with Ethereum and many of the projects that came out on it. It's a real shame. I would love to see them come back. I hope that South Korea is a leader for the rest of the world, and I hope this really works out for them. There are going to have to be registrations, of course, with the government. So if you're going to be issuing an ICO, you register, you pay the fees, then you have to have a disclosure-based. You're going to be under the disclosure-based regime, so you're going to have $717,000 about, or 1 billion won in reserve as capital requirements. You're going to have mandatory monthly internal and annual external audits. I think this makes sense. I mean, this is a right approach to the industry versus just banning it completely. I commend Korea and this lawmaker for doing that. Apparently, he's the leader of the Democratic Party, Lee Kang-il. So, yeah. Interesting news there on that front. Hey guys, sorry I haven't checked in on the chat. I want to give a shout out to you guys. Hey Renee, happy gang. What's up, dude? What's going on? Alex, Scream Engine, Omar, Nanny P says hi. Hey Nanny P, and hey to you also, Scream Engine. Hey Mr. Meaner, I'm glad you got to drop in, of course. And Balds Nawal, I don't think I've seen you here post very much, but nice to see your name in the chat. Always love to see new names in the chat. So that's why I always invite you guys to join us on Fridays live. So make sure you're subscribed again if you're just tuning in. And Channel Veritas, Omar, the original crypto YouTube king. Nice to catch you live again. I love this, man. I love to see real folks here chatting. It's so rare now where you're not engaging with bots. You're going to see it everywhere. Large language models, agents, who knows what's even real anymore, but just that I know you guys. I've seen your names out here in the chat, and you are sharing actual experiences you've had through the years, and to me, it's amazing. I did lose my old channel, but my old channel was swamped with bots and shills and haters and all kinds of trash, and it's so refreshing to not see that when I look to the left. So thank you guys for being a part of the resurgence, the great Phoenix Rising of the channel. Again, I appreciate y'all's support so very much. Anyway, continuing on here, Polymarket, something else that in the United States has just not been around or for average people really been available without using VPNs and having to circumvent. When there's a will, there's generally a way, but it's nice to not have to jump around so many hoops to get something done. In this case, betting on the outcome of some sort of event, some sort of prediction market, being able to bet by buying shares of whether something will happen or not, whether a certain price will be hit for something or not, whether somebody's going to be elected or not, what team is going to win, even though sports betting is huge. I heard a quote recently that was like, sports are ruining betting or something like. It was like, baseball is ruining sports gambling. It's like the other way around, right? Anyway, it's silly. People are going to bet anyway. So Polymarket is seeking to return to the United States. They're gearing up. It says this article for return. They're actually funded by Donald Trump Jr., so I could imagine he wants to see the platform succeed, and they'll do everything in their power to allow for this kind of market to exist again. So there's a huge increase in the number of users. Apparently back in July, they only had about 2,000 not users, but new markets being created. 2,000 new markets that were created in July. There are now 13,800 being reached in August, and likely even more in September. So I think that's pretty huge for them. I like to see that stuff. Polymarket is a decentralized prediction market platform that allows users to place bets on world events. Users buy and sell shares using cryptocurrency to bet on the likelihood of future events taking place. The platform gained significant prominence around the presidential election in November 2024. I would like to see even more of these markets, as many as possible. I think that's what the root of capitalism really is, and that people seem to not understand, is that it is about competition. But unfortunately, we have crony capitalism here, where monopolies are totally legal if you bribe the right parties. I would like to see a return to real capitalism, and crypto is one of the best ways to do that, is right on chain. Am I right, guys? I know you guys understand. Polymarket World Tour. Yeah. Hey, Christopher. Good evening, Omar. Missed the McAfee era. Yeah, man, those were the days. I don't think we'll ever see that. That was the true Wild West, if y'all were around when McAfee was around. I think McAfee's death kind of like ended the true heart of the Wild West in crypto, right? I know you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if you haven't seen my videos and interviews with John McAfee, they're really fun, and you can still find them on Odyssey. That's Odyssee. I believe there's a link down below if you want to check out my old videos. And I do want to get back to uploading all those videos on my other channel, which is not even really publicly known. Eventually, I'll release all these things back on YouTube. But anyway, this is insane. So it was found out that, remember the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, who was quite anti-crypto. Finally, things are turning around. Turns out they lost all of his text messages and records of those between a certain period where crypto was being come down on hard by the SEC. So insane, right? So OIT's decisions and actions resulted in the inadvertent loss of text messages sent and received. Look at the corruption here. Received by Gensler between October 18th, 2022 and September 6th, 2023. Specifically in August 2023, OIT implemented a poorly understood, an automated policy that caused an enterprise wipe of Gensler's government-issued mobile device. The device was erroneously thought to be inactive and no longer in use, and OIT had not backed up the device for nearly a year. In an effort to recover from the enterprise wipe, OIT hastily performed a factory reset. This is like just as bad as like the Epstein stuff, which deleted text messages stored on the device and the device's operating system logs. This is insane to me that this can even happen. Like we have OpenAI being forced to keep everything for all time that you write on ChatGPT, and everything else that you try to delete on Facebook or Twitter or what have you, they just write like they just take it off the website publicly, but they keep that on their servers pretty much, right? they just add a little thing that says this has been deleted on the side in their own database records. It doesn't really delete anything. But Gary Gensler stuff, they did a hardcore factory reset. Oops, we messed up. Anyway, Paul Grueth of Coinbase had this to say: all the lecturing under the prior SEC Gov leadership about data preservation, all the haranguing, all the self-righteousness, and then it turns out, oops. And Nate Garashi had this to say: former SEC Chair Gensler's text messages from October 2022 to September 2023 are missing. I'm serious. Think about everything that happened in crypto during this time. Yeah, we were pretty much here, most of us. Basically, FTX collapse through grayscale spot BTC ETF lawsuit. Makes you think. And then Paul Grueth finishing with this quote I wanted to share. This isn't some oops moment. This was a destruction of evidence relevant to pending litigation. So many court cases that these text messages could have been relevant to. We all deserve better, especially from leaders who see fit to smear others and cast aspersions so freely. I can't believe that this is not being discussed enough. Very few messages that I've seen and interactions around this topic, but I think it should be shared. Not that there's probably much can be done. I mean, this is just insane corruption. And lastly, I want to bring up a trending topic here on the cryptocurrency subreddit, and it's something that's actually relevant to Bitcoin specifically. Bitcoin is being poisoned from within. I'm just going to read it to you guys. Maybe you've been following this a lot closer than me. I tend to not really care that much about what Bitcoin Core is doing ever since the block size debate and SegWit. I'm like, whatever. They're just going to do whatever they're going to do, right? To benefit certain parties, my opinion. So, and of course, he's being blocked from sharing this post on Bitcoin and Bitcoin Beginner. I didn't even know Bitcoin Beginner existed, but probably another well-managed forum. So he's not allowed to publish this information. Why? So he wrote, I don't think enough people are paying attention to what's happening with Bitcoin Core right now, the producers of the leading Bitcoin software, which most nodes run, which is managed by a handful of some of the Bitcoin OGs and the developers and so on. So it's something everyone running a node needs to know about. There's a big change coming in October that will raise the op return data limit from 80 bytes, small, negligent, up to 100,000 bytes or more. That would be about 100 kilobytes. If you're new to Bitcoin, op return is the part of a transaction people can add extra data that is not related to moving Bitcoin around. This was always kept very small to prevent the blockchain from being misused and to keep Bitcoin focused on money instead of becoming a permanent storage layer for unrelated content. Now, the plan is to remove those limits and get rid of the filters that previously stopped non-standard data from flooding the network. This is serious because it means much larger pieces of arbitrary content can now be added directly to the blockchain. This is permanent, and every full node stores this data, whatever it is, forever. This is not a theory. In the past, sensitive and highly inappropriate material has been inserted into the blockchain. It was often disguised or encoded, but these changes make it much easier for bad actors to insert content that could create serious problems for node operators, or maybe even the blockchain itself. If you're running, and I'm adding that last part, right? I should, just in case you're listening with headphones, not reading along here. That last sentence was me, right? I think it could be a problem to the actual blockchain itself, and you'll see why in just a moment. If you're running a full node with core software, especially if it is an archival node, your computer will store and process this content automatically without you even knowing what is in it. In many places, this could put users at risk depending on what is being stored. Not just users, it could be entities, it could be companies, it could be wallet applications, anything. Most people running nodes have no idea this is even possible, but it is now a very real issue. Some of the developers behind Core have started pushing these changes through without broad agreement. Not all of them, but enough that it is causing concern. They are moving fast and ignoring feedback from parts of the community who have tried to raise issues and ask for more discussion. Comments on GitHub are reportedly being removed, and those who have spoken out have had their input shut down. Luke Dash Jr., who maintains Bitcoin Knots, another node software alternative, has been very vocal about this and has warned for years about what these kinds of changes could do to the future of the network. Bitcoin Knots is an alternative full node software that keeps those important protections in place and does not automatically accept risky policy changes. It is maintained by Luke Dash Jr., who has a long history of standing up for Bitcoin's core principles. Knots is fully compatible with the Bitcoin network, and more users are starting to run it to protect themselves and the integrity of the network. Running your own Bitcoin Knots node is not just a smart option, it is becoming necessary. This is how you take back control. When you run your own node, you choose what rules you follow. Developers do not run Bitcoin, users do. If you keep running core without understanding these changes, you are agreeing to them whether you meant to or not. Bitcoin Knots now makes up around 20% of reachable nodes. 20%, wow, which is a strong signal that people are pushing back, but we need more. If this change is allowed to move forward without resistance, here is what happens next. The blockchain becomes overloaded with junk data. Storage and bandwidth requirements increase dramatically. Governments may begin to see Bitcoin as a liability. Fewer people will be able to run full nodes. Developers who care about Bitcoin's principles may leave. Decentralization weakens. The network risks becoming legally questionable or even unusable in some regions. I think that's important to note. This is not fear-mongering. This is the path we are on if users do nothing. If you care about Bitcoin staying fast and focus on being a monetary network, then you need to run Bitcoin Knots. Protect yourself from unknowingly storing problematic data and help keep the chain clean. We are at a turning point. Do not sit on the sidelines. Now is the time to take a stand by running your own node. Let the software you choose reflect what you believe in. Bitcoin only works because users enforce the rules. What you run today decides what Bitcoin becomes tomorrow. I kind of love this, just like, the rhetoric here. I love it. I mean, this is what Bitcoin is about. This is what decentralized networks is about. Whether you agree that we should be using Bitcoin Knots or not, or maybe he's completely misled about what op return is, it's great to see people not run ideas through ChatGPT and just copy and paste it. But try it as an average person, not a politician, maybe not a dev. Stand up for something and post about it, because it is about community and who chooses to run these nodes. So, I mean, at the very least, props to this person for having shared this. So Mr. Pomeroy asks, can someone explain why developers would want this limit removed in the first place? What is the incentive? And then Squeeze It Girdle said, OP is exaggerating quite a bit. Core v3 relaxes the old 80-byte op return relay limit, but it's policy, not consensus. It doesn't magically make 100k byte op return fields. I guess that would be the limit instead. Transactions are still capped by standard transaction size and block weight. Shoving arbitrary data on chain isn't new, and not every node stores it forever. Lots of people run prune nodes. Archival nodes keep history. They will still be out there, though, right? The full nodes. The devs are secretly pushing this through. Angle is ridiculous. It was debated in the open. If you don't like it, flip cores data carrier equals 0 size setting or run Knots. So basically, it's exaggerating the truth and overhyping it. And then Awesomus Maximus responds, because this continues to get juicy, that's why I'm sharing it, and informative at the very least about what's going on here, which I think is relevant to all of us in cryptocurrency, what happens to Bitcoin. I don't think TS is over-exaggerating. Running Core 30 will open up your node for everyone in the internet to send you 100 kilobytes of nasty and illegal stuff, and then propagate that to other nodes. Imagine the bear market with headlines reading, Bitcoin Network distributes CP globally. And then Freedom Fighting responds, this was my first thought when reading some of the info by OP. Imagine getting hunted down and put in jail for having CP on your full node. Then comes confiscation of all assets. I don't pretend to know anything about running nodes. However, it does bring up the possibility of a bad situation, certainly. Exactly. And that absolutely outlaws any eventual pro with having large op returns. Why would Core's team do this? And why so fast? Despite the backlash, which seems to be quite vocal from the community. I mean, 20% running other nodes than theirs is quite a lot. Their actions would make sense if they were compromised. Very sad. And this is also notable. PDath says, you don't have to be hunted down. A node relays its mempool to any other node that asks. Authorities will be able to scan for nodes containing the content remotely. It doesn't have to be law enforcement. Any concerned citizen could do a scan and lay a complaint with the police or the FBI, which would have to investigate it, saying, here is a list of computers in this country currently distributing CP. The police would be compelled to arrest and charge those people. So yeah, I think a really important debate that I did have to bring up on this channel. So at the very least, you can make an informed decision about what node software you want to support and or run, and what you want to get involved with in the debate. Yeah, so I'll leave that at that. I want to know what your thoughts are on this. Maybe you've been researching this for a while and you have some strong thoughts. Let me know down in the comments. Let us users know what you're thinking down below, and we'd very much appreciate it, I'm sure. I know I would. Anyway, that's the show I have for you guys. Wow, we got a good amount of people here. Well, 13 people. We're still climbing. Thank you guys for making it out. This is a show, however, that I have for you guys. I hope you found it informative. I'm expecting a lot of volatility while we head through November. And I should say that September is kind of like May. You sell in May and go away has been something that has been said, and generally pretty good advice. September is very similar. Not traditionally a really good month for how cryptocurrencies perform. At the same time, we're seeing that post-halving, maybe for the first time ever, we're seeing interest rates actually coming down when we usually see Bitcoin struggle when interest rates have been high. We're actually seeing rates come down. So I do feel like we're in a different kind of environment here. But September could be bad. October, November, December tends to be pretty good for the market. So I know I'm sticking around here. I'm not going to be just selling all my coins and going away in September. But yeah, trade cautiously, guys. Anything, as I keep saying, can happen. And I think beating out resistance with persistence with patience also, tends to win out in the end, as we can see time and time again, which ties nicely into our quote of the day about resistance, which was our theme in Kung Fu this week. Enthusiasm is common, endurance is rare, by Angela Duckworth. Yeah, it was all about, in Kung Fu, about how a lot of people just try a bunch of stuff enthusiastically, and when that euphoria goes away, they give up and then they try the next thing. But really, the fruits come from continuing to struggle by sticking around, right? Endurance. And I think that's relevant, of course, even to crypto. If you really believe in something, and you're not just gambling and speculating, you're trying to inform your investment decision. So I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Thank you for making it out. Renee, Mr. Meaner, Ayaz, Christoph, all the names I'm seeing here, Channel Veritas, everyone else. I sincerely appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this, and I'll catch you the next time. Take care. Much love. Have a great weekend, and stay cryptic. Peace.